Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Great Pacific Gold, chatting with the president and CEO, Greg McCunn. We are going through an exploration update here from the Wild Dog project, as well as some more spin-out details for those Australian projects. Greg and I chatted back in August to introduce this company. Greg, since we last talked, there's been a lot of news that have come out on the exploration front. You have a LiDAR survey. You've released some drill results, some impressive drill results, 8.4 meters at 50 grams per ton gold equivalent. You also have mobilized a second drill rig. You had some surface results, more high grade of 127 grams per ton gold equivalent over 0.8 meters. Just bring us up to speed here, Greg, on the exploration that's ongoing, the drill program, and now adding the second rig.
Yeah, perfect, Corey. Thanks for having me again. And look, yeah, as you say, in the last 2 months since we last spoke, it's been going full tilt at Wild Dog. We've had our one diamond rig turning there and have had some tremendous success on our epithermal target, and in particular focused on about 10% of the overall 15-kilometer strike length of the epithermal. And that specific target where we're drilling right now is called Sinivit. It's about a 1.5-kilometer long target. We now have 11 drill holes completed on. The 12th hole is currently underway. And as you say, since the last time we spoke, we've had some tremendous results come out of there. In particular, hole number 8, which was drilled in the northern sulfide area of that target, intersected 8.4 meters at just over 50 gram per ton gold equivalent. And as you recall here, Corey, this is a copper gold target. So we're looking here that 50 gram per ton gold equivalent was made up of about 46 grams per ton of gold and about 1.7% copper. So some very good looking results there. We have followed that up with some step out holes to the north into the gap, holes 9 and 10. And now recently hole 11 has intercepted the main Wild Dog vein, the epithermal vein. So again, at hole 9, a little more modest, but again, this is close to surface, open pitable type resources, 5 meters at just under 5 gram per ton. So again, consistently hitting here at Wild Dog. Of these holes, we've hit on every hole that we've drilled. So our model is obviously solid here. We're delivering on what we'd hope to deliver on. And we've got some, as we're drilling close to surface, some quite a big variation in grades, anywhere from 5 to 50 gram per ton. What we're expecting here is that, as you know, this is an expanded program. We're planning about 5,000 meters of drilling here at the Sinivit target. And this is all close to surface drilling to really help us gain an understanding of the nature and the orientation of these epithermal veins before we start stepping out at depth and start investigating what would be the feeder zone for this target, where we're expecting more consistent, probably greater widths of average grades of between those highs and lows that we're seeing closer to surface. So far, it's been a tremendous outcome, and what that's all led us to do is to really try and accelerate this program. We are bringing in a second drill rig. We've executed that contract with our drilling contractor, and we're expecting that rig to be mobilized here imminently. It'll probably take us about 3 to 4 weeks to get it set up. So let's call that the middle of November. We're hoping to have a second drill turning here at the epithermal structure at Wild Dog, our flagship project.
So at the Sinivit target, how aggressive are you getting with step outs? I realize it's still early on in the program and you're really just exploring close to surface, but step out wise, what should we be expecting?
Yeah, we're going to blanket this 1.5-kilometer target with 28 holes here. And that includes, we've only covered about half of that at this stage. So we'll be basically doubling our coverage in the coming 2 months, particularly accelerating that with a second drill. And as I mentioned, there is a real potential here. We know from the geophysics that were flown here earlier this year, just to refresh everyone's memory, we did take the time to fly a mobile MT geophysics survey here, which has highlighted a major geophysical anomaly at depth below the targets that we're drilling. That's what we expect to be the main feeder zone of this epithermal system, where there's tremendous underground potential. As well as we know, this is a large epithermal structure, so 15 kilometers of strike length along with the depth extension. So this is open to the north and to the south. The first major step out beyond Sinivit is going to be planned at a target called Kavasuki. And if you happen to be looking at our investor deck, that's about it's about another equivalent 1.5 kilometers that's immediately adjacent and to the north of Sinivit. So that'll effectively double our coverage from 10% of the overall strike length to about 20. And there have been some historical drill holes put in Kavasuki back about 10, 15 years ago, which yielded some similar results to what we're seeing at the Sinivit target. So yeah, we're very encouraged. This is a large scale project with lots of work ahead of us, but it's all going according to plan so far, Corey.
Okay, so you'll be going after that Kavasuki target as well. What about drilling some deeper holes? Everything's still pretty shallow right now. So will you be focusing on a little bit more depth?
We will for sure. And so this shallow program here is really designed to help us understand the orientation. And if you saw a news release that we put out in late September, September 24th, I believe it was, where we announced the results from hole number 9, which we talked about. We've also been doing quite a bit of surface sampling work. And again, that's just seeing and understanding the orientation of the veins at surface. That's going along with some mapping that we're overlaying with our drill results in the southern part of the Sinivit target, where we've got holes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and also a couple follow-up holes coming here in the near term. So we're starting combining that surface results where we had 0.8 meters in a vein at surface that was running 127 gram per ton. So these are very high grade veins, outcropping at surface, projecting at depth through the drill holes. We're now starting to get a good model on that structure and orientation that we're getting prepared to test at depth. So likely we'll start below that southern target and then start moving to the north as our information fills in from this ongoing near surface drill program.
So you mentioned the expansion of the program. When we first chatted, you had already expanded it to, I believe, 4,500 meters. Sounds like you'll drill more. Can you give us some insights on just how many meters? Will it be only 5,000 meters? And how many approximate holes you'll get in?
Yeah, so the initial program that we've got planned was really talking about our budget for 2025, and that budget was for a 28-hole program drilling 5,000 meters. So as we get close to 2026 here, we've got a second drill rig arriving. We're not expecting that we're going to be demobilizing these drills for the entire year, Corey. So we're going to be ongoing drilling with 2 rigs turning here for the whole 12 months of 2026. And so that'll be to the tune of something in the tune of 15 to 20,000 meters of additional drilling that we have planned for next year. That program hasn't been outlined to the market just yet, but roughly that's the type of scale that we're talking about in our drill program. And we'll be formalizing that plan here in the coming weeks and months leading into the end of the year, and certainly announcing it at the start of 2027, along with a board-approved budget to go with that.
All right, Greg. A lot of drilling. You are cashed up. You raised just over, I believe, $16 million, almost $17 million back in July. So I want to talk valuation here because I'm seeing the company market cap wise just under $80 million Canadian. The drilling ongoing, but then you also have the spin out of the Australian assets. You set a meeting date for November 27th. Break down the valuation here. Market cap, let's say $80 million Canadian. The cash in the bank, tell us how much that is, and then what value you're currently getting, you think, for these Australian assets.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, the Australian assets, as everyone recalls, we're focusing in 2025 on divesting of the majority of those assets. And we have one asset remaining in our portfolio, which is one we were wrestling as to how to create the most value for our shareholders from that. And recall, as you mentioned, that we announced that to do what we decided to do was to spin that out. So there is a nice juicy spin out coming here of Walhalla Gold. That's the name of the project in Victoria in Australia. It's a large scale land package on a historic gold belt. We've been finalizing that spin out here since we last spoke by completing technical reports, putting together carve out financial statements, getting our filing statements approved by the TSX Venture, etc. So we're expecting now we have announced that we're having a special shareholder meeting of Great Pacific Gold on November 27th of this year they will approve the spinout transaction, and the date of record for shareholders to receive a share in Walhalla Gold will be very close to that date. So call it November 28th or 29th. So by the end of November, if you're a shareholder of record of Great Pacific Gold, you're going to receive a full share in Walhalla Gold. The company here is retaining nothing. All of this value is going out to our shareholders. And what we're seeing in the current markets is we're expecting to run a small IPO. The new company, Walhalla, will run a small financing of about $5 to $7 million to finance the drilling of a permitted target on the Walhalla belt in early 2026. Effectively, we're seeing a value here that's likely equivalent to 20 to 25 cents per GPAC share. So call that right now, $35 to $40 million. That's half of our market cap, Corey. So you add our cash to that, which is currently sitting at just over $15 million. And then, of course, don't forget our very strategic land holdings in the Eastern Highlands province of Papua New Guinea, which is Kesar and Arau, which are located on either side of K92's Kainantu mine. If you wanted to value those, maybe a good comparable to the value of those two assets might be a company like South Pacific Metals, who's got some early stage exploration ground also around K92. Their market cap for assets that are similar to those is right now just under 40 million Canadian. So effectively, when you start doing that math, at some of the parts analysis, I like to call it, is you're seeing we're almost trading at negative value for our incredibly high grade, large scale, tremendous porphyry potential wild dog project. So really, I see for investors here a real disconnect, I think, right now between where we should be in the next 4 to 6 months and where we are currently. So it's a tremendous investment thesis, I think, at this stage.
So Greg, talk to us about news flow then. What's coming? Sounds like a lot of drill results, but what else should we be watching out for?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing you should watch out for that's a little bit different than drill results is we have just updated our Kesar. That's the strategic project located to the north of K92. Investors might recall that we carried out a drilling program there in late 2024 and early 2025. We had some very interesting results from this, some high-grade intercepts. We also flew that property with MobileMT geophysics. What's happened since that time is now all the analysis has been done on the geophysics, and what we're seeing is some really high-value targets that are setting ourselves up for a second phase of drilling there in 2026. That's all been captured in a technical report. You can expect us to announce that to the market here in the coming, call it, month. So that'll just give some investors maybe some more meat on the bone in terms of the value we should be seeing at Kesar. And then, of course, we've got right now 2 holes in the lab, holes 10 and 11. Hole 12 is drilling into a very prospective area. This is at Wild Dog now. So we'll be packaging up those 3 holes and announcing them to the market here towards the end of this month. And combined with that, we've got some analysts coming to site next week. So I'll be traveling down to Papua New Guinea with our management team. We're going to be hosting a group of Canadian mining analysts. We're expecting some new research coverage from those analysts on the back of this that will augment the coverage that was recently announced by Michael Gray at Agentis. So if you're following Michael Gray, you can see he's picked up coverage of Great Pacific Gold. So hopefully this is going to create some buzz, get the investor awareness up, and get our valuation a little closer to where we believe it should be.
All right, Greg, thank you very much for the update. I'll post a link to the company's website. And if you have any questions for Greg, please send me an email, fleck@kereport.com. I'll follow up with Greg as we get some more drill results and any other news. Again, Greg McCunn, President and CEO of Great Pacific Gold. Greg, thanks for the update today.
Thanks again, Corey.